And welcome back to another edition of the Oh You Didn't Know Wrestling Show. I am your semi-sick podcast host, John Fisher, and I am with the one behind the one. And we're not on podcast one. Well, fuck, whatever. Sorry, I screwed that up. You know, our old podcast was on 187 platforms, so then I could have said that. But as you're all aware, we're only on the three important ones. Bada bing. Hello.
We're not fired up 2 to 4 times a day, that's for sure. But we do okay. And maybe our audio is a little better, and maybe our show is a little more entertaining.
I'm still trying to figure out how to make it, I should say, sound better, because we sound pretty good. We could always have better mics, but hey, we're ballers on a budget. Especially Brad, because he's taller, and taller things for bigger ballers. Am I right? So he tries his best, and then here's me. We do okay, but I'm still trying to figure out how to do everything at once. So whenever Dean runs in, by the way, spoiler, he's back this week. Whenever we try to get all of our technical stuff and we try to put it together for you guys, I'm stuck until 2 a.m. editing this thing on no sleep, no food. I'm starving over here.
Well, that's not good.
Well, not literally. No, we went to Wing Night tonight. Ooh, was that good?
Oh,
geez.
Wing Night where?
So it's a local joint. It's
Okay.
called the. It doesn't matter what it's called. Yeah. It's only in the area.
You have a lot of fans, John. We don't need the fans stalking you at the wing joint. We want it to be a safe space for you.
Oh no, I would welcome it all. I don't care. What do you think? I'm some right-wing mark that would make people pay for my attention and a gathering? And I'm only a wrestling fan. Why would I do that? What kind of idiot would do that? Especially charge.
Worked out pretty good for Dave.
Who's Dave? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, guy.
If we ever have a live podcast, it'll be only $10. I'm setting the price right now.
Well, I think we should actually do $9.99.
That's $10.
Well, no, it's $9.99, pal.
Oh my! So how? All right. Yes, I was making fun of Dave Meltzer. I'm sorry. Whoop-de-doo. Everyone makes fun of him. It's just fun that way. How much was his show? Mania Weekend? Was it like 50 or All In Weekend? Was it like $50?
I think even more if you wanted the premium. You want his autograph and all of the bells and whistles. To meet the great Rave Seltzer, then you've got to pay up for that.
But why?
If you want the insight of a guy who's talked about fake fights on a scripted TV show for 40 years, you've got to pay for that, John.
So here's the difference. But hey, wait, hold on. How much is the Observer newsletter a month?
I think it's $10.99 a month.
Oh, it's more
than the network.
Oh my! Oh, that guy's
It's more than the WWE network to listen to Brian Alvarez in Dave Meltzer talk about a scripted TV show.
Look, that's great. Good for them. I'm happy
great for them.
No, seriously, it is.
Yeah.
They're doing well. They're making money.
Yeah, they actually have found an audience.
Yeah,
willing to pay, which I think is absurd, but good for them.
I think it's absurd. But I would like to know. So it being more than the network is absolutely asinine. But on top of that, I think I wouldn't want his autograph. Yeah, he's a smart guy, and he has stooges that he pays to give him source tips. That's fine. But a guy like Bill Apter, I'd much rather pay for his show, because at least that motherfucker was at ringside when wrestling was at its finest. He's the one that I'd want to listen to, not a fan, because he's a fan. Am I right? Bill Apter's a very knowledgeable guy. If anyone hasn't, I think it's on podcast 1. I can be wrong, but look at Bill Apter. The guy's brilliant, and he's lived through all of it, which I find incredibly interesting.
Yeah, he just wants you to buy his crappy book if you interview him. That's all.
We've all written stuff. We've all written crappy things. Not everything's a work of art. And how do you know his book's crappy? You've never read it.
How do you know I've never read it?
So you don't know it's crappy. Why would you say that? Yeah, I got you. I got you this time. Haha. Oh, hey. Yeah, so we we had to watch wrestling this week, and outside of about so we watch what 5 hours a week.
5 hours, but it really feels like about 10.
It feels about a week long, really.
Yeah.
So we watch 5 hours a week.
And by the way, it
Yeah.
feels like 10 hours, but just imagine if we watched everything else.
Full-time
Yeah.
job. That's why you pay Dave $11.99 or whatever, $11. He'll watch it all for you, and all you have to do is give that bastard $11.
No,
And
and
you're
he'll even rate the matches with stars, I hear. Like if it's a really, really good match, it's 5 stars. If it's a really, really good match in Japan, it's 7 stars. Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant, it's -1 star.
I have taken the liberty of changing our star rating system on iTunes. Which, by the way, if you're on iTunes, rate us on iTunes. It does us well. No, but no, seriously, our rating is 3.5 stars. Which,
and really, to be fair, John, we've gotten a lot of very good ratings.
We have,
but we had a string of trolls, Dave Meltzer trolls from his board, who went on to our iTunes and rated us significantly low. Those little dorks are what we call haters, and they're totally irrelevant. But to offset that, yeah, absolutely, definitely, when you subscribe, also rate 5 stars. 5 stars, 5 stars only. We are a 5-star podcast.
Now, my point was going to be, if you're living in America or really anywhere else outside of Tokyo, you can't rate us 5 stars. It's just not allowed. It's only 2.
Yes, we're a Japanese wrestling podcast.
Oh, the sky is the limit. I wonder, and I'm honest here, I wonder if Dave has do you know back in kindergarten, because we're talking about pro wrestling, in kindergarten you had the star chart, and if you did something good, like not pinch the teacher's butt or not talk with your mouth full.
Who did that anyway? What kind of a classroom were you in?
Not me. I was in a public school. Or you had, or like you cleaned up your mess after you like threw up everywhere and you got a gold star. Do you think Dave has a whiteboard the size of Kansas that is just everyone's matches and their stars? I hope, because that'd be freaking. I'd pay to see that. I wouldn't pay to listen to his show. I'd want to see the big whiteboard of all the stars. And he makes his wife go get the sticker book every other week. Yeah, honey, we need more stars. Yeah, Japan had 2 pay-per-views this week. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I remember when I was younger and I used to collect sports cards, and I had these books that I would keep all the sports cards in.
I still do that with Pokemon cards. So
yeah, okay.
I can't talk.
Okay, well, similar concept. Well, that's what I would imagine Dave would have. One of those books, and inside of it, he's got all of the greatest matches of all time, in his opinion, in this book. And every time there's another great match, he pulls it out and he adds it to this book of great matches that he has.
his book of lies. No, we kid, we joke. He's a guy. I don't know if he's very nice. I've never talked to him or met him or seen him in person. But the guy does push-ups and watches wrestling, so I guess he's winning at some facet in life. But
yeah. When in doubt, don't take us seriously.
No, we're in it for the lulls. At least that's
except my news. Now, my news is real. Now, there's a certain podcast that comes on every week, and for example, they say, yeah, sure, WrestleMania 36 is going to be in Minneapolis, and they're going to announce it on November 27th.
They did. They announced it. We're recording this on a Wednesday. Again, we're a day late. I apologize. They announced, no, it's in Minneapolis. I read it on the website. WrestleMania is in Minneapolis next year. It was announced yesterday. I read it.
WrestleMania is in New York next year.
I meant in 2019. You know what I meant. Or 2020. Wow, my God, that's insane. No, WrestleMania, it's going to be in... The website said it on the internet.
Please do point me to this website.
It torches a lot of farm buildings.
Is it fair to say that it's fired up 2 to 4 times a day?
But sometimes twice daily?
Sometimes twice, 3, 4 times daily. Yeah, that's okay. You know, you're right. I think they did report that.
They did, so it has to be
Yeah,
true.
it has to be true. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
OJ
Yeah,
shouldn't have worn the glove. Sorry.
Yeah. If it doesn't fit, you have to acquit.
You're right,
Yeah.
especially if I have. Never mind. All right, so no, your points. You want to call someone out without using their name because lawsuits. What is the WrestleMania 36 is not in Minneapolis, right?
We'll definitely talk about that, but to say that that's the case would, at this point would be completely untrue.
And do we ever lie to our fans?
No, that's one thing you can say about me for sure is you may like what I say, you may not like what I say, but I don't lie to you guys. I give it to you straight, whether you like it or not. And so I think that, whether you like me or not, I think there's some respect and credibility with that. And that's what I aim for. So.
What do you think of the well, no, before we get into wrestling, and we will, calm down. The news about the XFL, a couple of cities being announced, that was kind of cool. St. Louis being one of them. Anything to add there?
Yeah, St. Louis was a possibility for a while. Obviously, they had the St. Louis Rams. They moved to Los Angeles.
Yep.
So they were a key market to go after for Vince and the XFL. And allegedly, the press conference to announce the teams is going to be on December 5th. Now, I know the press conference was going to be within the next 3 weeks. It could be the 5th for sure, but I'm not completely sure about that. I just know it was scheduled to be within the next few weeks. So I would anticipate it fairly soon either way, where they're going to announce the teams and start to move forward. And, I think they need to, because you look at the AAF, and they've already done their draft. They've already announced, they've got their logos.
Reviews on Twitter, There's a lot of social media interaction with that, which is smart on their part.
Absolutely. And I think the uniforms and helmets that they've come out with look great.
I think so too.
They've even released what's the meaning behind each team's name. So they've really done a good job, and they've got a jump start in the XFL. So the XFL is really going to have to respond here, and I think they realize that.
St. Louis, just to talk about them real quick, for any listeners in St. Louis, I'm going to pimp you out. They're a big sports town.
Pittsburgh, a big sports town?
For the World Series. St. Louis Blues, who are usually, they just fired their coach, but they're normally in the playoff picture in the NHL. So, the sky's the limit, really, in St. Louis. They have a lot going on there. Big college scene with Missouri. Football, mainly Missouri athletics, are usually good in every aspect. I think that's going to be it's good. It'll be a good fit for them. And I think they miss football. St. Louis is always a good football city to me. But either way.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, speaking of St. No, that's no. Yeah. Let's just go out of order. Like we were going to talk about a little bit ago, Raw and SmackDown is a 5-hour show. We have to watch the 5-hour show every single week. A lot of times, it's a very good 5 hours. A lot of times, it's a no. Okay. Sometimes it's a good 5 hours. A lot of times, there's a little good and a lot bad. This week, and again, you know me, I'm the positive one out of the group. This week, I would say had cumulatively, there we go, out of the whole had half an hour of good content. Half an hour. And I wish I was exaggerating, but I don't think I can. Because and you and I have very, very different opinions for the most part.
Which is okay, by the way.
It is. I get pissed off at you, but whatever. A lie, and we have to get Dean's going to run in here in a few, but just to go over some high points. Elias is still a star that's shining bright every week, no matter what they're giving him. Becky's return was tremendous, and I loved the back and forth with Charlotte. And the New Day was funny in a backstage.
John, hold on. We're over 7 minutes. That's all the time we have for this podcast.
Was that really only like 7 minutes of and the Rollins and Ziggler match was what it was. It was a match, and it was good, and that was it. Period. I've seen it.
Right. That's the problem, John. Right, because Rollins and Ziggler was a good match. That's great, but guess what? Even a good Broadway play gets boring after you've seen it 15 times.
It is true. I love Fiddler on the Roof, but I can only see it like once every couple of years, or I get bored.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought of Fiddler on the Roof, but it works. It works. Anything you want to point out before Dean enters his big body in here?
I just thought of a great idea. Like, if I were going to make a porn about Fiddler on the Roof, I would change it to Diddler on the Roof.
Have James Ellsworth said on.
Allegedly, yeah, no, he's denied all of that. By the way,
he did get an attorney.
He got an attorney and he released a statement today as we record this, which, as we know, this week is a Wednesday. We're a day later than usual, but he has released a statement essentially saying it's not true, fake account, and anybody who propagates this lie will be they'll be taking legal action against them. So I want to be clear.
Allegedly.
Right. This was an allegation, and we don't know either way. So we're not accusing anybody of anything, folks.
No, we just make make jokes here.
Yeah. So
well, all right. I was told on multiple platforms to, and I quote, because it is in his ironclad contract, to play this before we talk about Raw, which, as you figured out by now, we're not doing the old Raw and SmackDown routine. It's not old. It's tried and true. We're just going all over the place. But
it fits our personalities.
It does. Contract ironclad.
All over the place. All right. So let's get the worst part of the podcast over with. Hit me with old Dino.
You got it.
Gentlemen, it is good to be back again. And as you know, I took a week off last week because my ironclad contract dictates that I'm able to show up when I want, where I want, and for how long I want. And Brad, by the booking on Raw, it would seem to me that there's no time anytime soon that Baron Corbin is going to become Universal Champion and kick me off of this podcast. So you're kind of stuck with me dropping my elbow this week on the abomination that is Monday Night Raw. WWE has a golden opportunity. Unfortunately, it's in the face of something that's somewhat sad, of course, with Roman Reigns. Now, Roman Reigns is their guy, but he's on the shelf recovering from leukemia. We certainly wish him well. WWE has an opportunity in the interim to build not only several new stars, but to build one megastar, to build their next John Cena, their next Hulk Hogan, whatever you want to call it. But I'm dropping the elbow on them for not doing it. How many times are we going to see Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler fight? It's absolutely absurd. Raw is just treading water with the whole Baron Corbin and putting stipulations on matches and being the heel general manager. And it's just constant circles of the same damn thing. They're building nothing. And they have a solution, by the way, and I'm interested to see what you guys think about it. That solution is Drew McIntyre. He's got the look, he's got the charisma, he's got the experience, and he has a prime opportunity to be the guy. But how do they get there if they continue to tread water with the same old that they've been giving us? The elbow is dropped once again this week, gentlemen. Let's hear what you have to say.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
What is that from?
Billy Madison, hello.
Is it? Oh my gosh.
But, completely relevant, so I had to play it. Yeah. No.
No, can I, before, I need to do two things. And I have to, filibuster here while until I find it. And it's worth it.
Okay, well, I like Dean's point about Drew being a top guy.
Of course.
In the picture. I mean,
Guys,
that's fair to say.
He's big. He's tall.
Yeah. Goddamn, pal.
He's big and he's tall.
He's vascular.
And he's vascular, and I'm sure he has a big dick. But that's not. That's not.
What's a top guy requirement?
That's a top guy requirement. I guess so. Well, no. So here's the problem, and I'm going to pull from two different sources here. Kind of put everything into perspective, and I can't believe I'm doing this, but son of a bitch. So, according to the Wrestling Observer, Figure 4 Online, Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez, that's a long title. Oh my god.
Yeah. Raw
posted the fourth lowest ratings of the modern era. Now, I don't know what these two guys, admits with the modern era. What do you think that is? Like 2010? 2008 area? Well, and that's a guess. Raw fell 5% to 2.37 million viewers. So 8 p.m. got 2.6 naturally, and I don't want to hear the football excuse. It's not an excuse. If you have good content, people are going to watch. 9 p.m. got 2.38, 10 p.m. 2.11. Vince Russo tweeted something that I thought was incredibly thought-provoking. Guys, you can't keep complaining and keep watching. If you continue to do that, they'll never try to improve. It's like sitting through a really bad 3-hour movie to the very end, then going to see it again. Why? Force WWE to be accountable? They want your viewing time. Make them earn it. Unquote.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, a lot of people watch out of habit, or they've been watching for so long. It's kind of like watching your hometown sports team, and they have ups and downs, and they're John, you would know about this as a Pittsburgh sports fan, having a lot of downs.
I don't know. I would say that with the Penguins having more cups than the Bruins have had in the last 30 years in the last 3.
Here we go again. Are we really going down this rabbit hole? Like, there's one title town in modern sports, and that's Boston, and that's not even debatable.
No, it is.
No, it's not.
Pittsburgh doesn't have a baseball team, so it's really only.
It's not my fault they're not big enough market to have a baseball team.
Actually, what's really funny about that? If we're talking just market size, Pittsburgh should be in the top 5 to where each team has 4 different sports teams. So they technically should have an NBA team and they could market one, but they just don't.
No, I wonder why.
No one wants it here. No one cares. No one cares about basketball here. Unless Pitt basketball is good, which hasn't been good for 5 years. But anyway, besides the point.
You're just making my point.
The hockey team is much better than the Bruins, but keep going. Not even close.
You were saying? That's my train of thought now.
You were saying? No, it's about the fans watching even though it's garbage.
No, it's basically you're a fan of your hometown sports team and you're watching and you're continuing to watch through the good and the bad. Obviously, this would be a bad time, but you still support your team and want better from them. And I think that's the way a lot of people feel, and I think that's what it comes down to. And a lot of these fans, too, they're not even necessarily sports fans. They're just hardcore wrestling fans that love wrestling and will watch it no matter what. And WWE already has those people, and they're not tuning out.
I'm almost
as angry as they get. They're not really tuning out, and so there really is no reason for WWE to change.
I'm almost to the point where so if any of you don't know, the WWE posts nearly every segment in full on YouTube outside of the matches. I'm at the point where if I hear a match is great, I'll go watch it. but just the match. And if I, see something on YouTube that'll perk my ears a little bit, like, oh, Becky, she had a great promo on Tuesday. She gave Charlotte a really good one-liner, gave her the business. Yeah, and I will go and watch that segment because I love Becky and I want to see her promo because she's been so good. But I don't want to have to.
She's a little overrated.
You're the only one that thinks that. But besides the point. Yeah, why are the ratings down? Because Baron Corbin starts and ends Raw every week. I rest my case.
That's the best part of Raw. It's the best part of Raw.
No, then why is it the lowest
part of Monday Night Raw this past week? It was a terrible show, but Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley, along with Bobby's child. That was the best part of the show.
Bobby's child. That's funny.
Yeah. That is his child, right? That's his son?
That's what Elias said.
Oh.
Probably the best part of Raw every week, to be honest with you. Continues to hit home runs, and they just give him
Here's a couple of things that I made a note of about Raw that I thought were stupid. And to me, one of the things that stood out was Dean Ambrose, who I really enjoyed his heel work for the most part so far. Right?
They're a little weird. They're a little weird.
But this week, where they went back to the wacky Dean it was like that's what it reminded me of. He goes from cold-blooded killer Dean, who makes these really insensitive remarks about Roman, and he's got a lot of heat, and it was done with Roman's approval, by the way. And then we get all of a sudden, okay, we don't want to offend anybody. Here's wacky Dino at the doctor's office getting shots because he's too good to be around the people. Like, where did this character come from? It's completely misaligned with everything we've seen from him so far as a heel. There's just no consistency with his character, and so I didn't like that at all.
And nobody should have, but that's the problem. And people are going to go and bitch about Vince, or just bitch about the writers. Oh, there's 38 writers on the team, and it's a bunch of garbage. It doesn't, do people understand, and a former writer said this on his podcast, it's called the We Watch Wrestling podcast. Do people, when they say, well, why didn't they come up with that idea? Why didn't they pitch that? Yes, they did. These writers aren't idiots. They are hired because they are creative. I'm assuming they have television sitcom or drama writing experience, or they're former wrestlers. But unless the big man in his crappy ass old seat upstairs in Connecticut says yes or just forgets to say no, it's all on him. And that's the problem. That is literally the problem. And until people realize that and get it through their heads, Vince isn't stupid, but he's out of touch beyond hell and back. And the only thing that's going to change is if he just doesn't do anything anymore. I don't want him to die. I never would want that. But to want him to stop booking wrestling? For hell yes, that's what I would want.
Well, yeah, they're writing essentially for an audience of one, Vince McMahon. And that's the problem. He's the CEO, but he's very heavily involved at micro levels in the company. He's a micromanager, and he's just very involved at all levels. And they're gonna write to appease him. You just look at the PP storyline with Spud; it's terrible. Drake Maverick. But I'm sure Vince loves it. So what can you really say? They're writing for an audience of one.
And who told Bobby Lashley and Leo Rush to go out to have Bobby almost what I thought was just bend over, dropping the soap, and having Leo Rush talk about how nice his butt looks? Who in their
right? Yeah,
every week,
pointing to the buttocks and then describing how nice it is. Yeah, absolutely.
That comes from the clinically insane. It's not even a heel-ish. It's just stupid, is what it is.
It's a huge turnoff for a mainstream audience, which they're hoping to capture on Fox eventually on SmackDown. And
yeah,
it's very, very interesting.
And that's the one thing. What are these Fox executives going to think when someone is pissing themselves on camera? That if you tell me the last time that happened on a sitcom or a drama, that's actual, television, then I'll admit I'm wrong.
Yeah,
But
I can see Colin Coward of FS1 watching that right now and being like, "Holy shit, this is terrible."
yes,
What the fuck were they thinking?
yeah, and he has every right to say that. Or Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless or Nick Wright. I mean, and Chris Carter talking about Raw because they're on every day, and they're gonna have promos. They're gonna have wrestlers on the freaking shows. What are you supposed to do? Sit there and take it? Sure, fine. But it doesn't make any sense. Like, another example, Nia Jax's promo, I get that she's not the best talker. But
not the best in-ring performer either.
Well, no, she hurts people for fun. But that's we're going to ignore that for now. Give her some material. Don't have her go out and sound like Ursula from Little Mermaid. You know what I mean? And impersonate Ronda like some buffoon? No, give her some. It was bad, right?
Well, no better than Ronda's terrible lines. I mean, her entire promo was bad. I mean, the lines she was given were terrible. Like, could you imagine? And I just think about this because the thing that I always go back to is a lot of the promos and conversations in the context of the show are just not relatable to people watching. They're not real. And you watch a confrontation between Ronda Rousey and you hear Ronda when she's face to face with Nia Jax referring to Tamina as a monolithic mute.
What does that mean?
It's like, yeah, I'm sure as soon as she Googles that, she'll be really mad about it. But nobody fucking talks like that in a confrontation where they're about to get physical. You know what I mean? It's just not relatable. It's not going to pull in emotion from the audience, and that's why you shouldn't do it, obviously.
Yes.
So, that's kind of should be obvious.
But it's not. It's not to some people. And let's talk about how interesting that is, by the way, because the reports were that Paul Heyman was the one working with Ronda exclusively on her promos. And if that's the case, I don't want him to do it anymore. Just let her go out and beat some ass and get out.
Yeah. It was not good. It was just a terrible promo. And I mean, just the lines are terrible. It's not even really a majority of blame on her.
Are you able to confirm any of that? Like, is Paul working with Ronda exclusively on talking?
I don't know about exclusively. I mean, sure, he was working with her, but
yeah,
I mean, monolithic mute. That's just, again, that's not something that the baddest woman on the planet would say. Could you imagine Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet, coming in with Stone Cold Steve Austin and DX, and he's on Monday Night Raw, and he gets in Austin's face. Hey, guy, you're a monolithic mute. No, Mike Tyson's not going to say that. But you know who's not going to say that either? Ronda Rousey and her character wouldn't say that. It was stupid.
So monolithic via the Google machine is described as formed of a single large block of stone. So a monolith. For those that past the 8th grade, we know what a monolith is. And a mute is as advertised. A mute. But again, it just doesn't make much sense. And that's
speaking of what makes no sense, how about the Lucha House Party?
I would
fast forward too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're a babyface team of 3 that uses quote-unquote Lucha House Party rules.
Which are fake.
Whatever the hell that means. Well, not fake, but it's stupid. But they're the face team. Well, I know you wanted to hear that. I've been owing you a fake fight remark. But they're a face team with a 3-on-2 advantage versus the heels. So who's the actual heels here? And who's the faces?
Yeah.
Because they get an unfair advantage against their opponents every single week. How does that make sense?
And and they're on a 2-match win streak against one of
Jesus.
the Revival, who, for those that didn't, I mean, even if you didn't watch NXT, even if you just saw some of their big for them, their main roster stuff, they're the top 5 tag team in the world. And this is and they're good on the mic too. They can actually talk. Next, like Lucha Libres aren't allowed. So whatever.
I like the Revival for sure. It's totally puzzling to me as to what the deal is, but I don't know. Sometimes there's just no explanation. So what can you say? That was Monday Night Raw in a nutshell, I think. Right?
Yeah, it was.
Anything else?
I'm trying. The main event was boring. Baron Corbin and Finn Balor. It did what it needed to do, but I think even you would agree with this. Baron should not be the leader of this de facto heel stable. It should be McIntyre. He's the star. Baron isn't. I'm sorry. Well, McIntyre is better than him in all fronts. Wrestling.
That's actually debatable.
Drew's promo several weeks ago was quite impressive.
Yeah, I would say Corbin's a better talker. He's a little bit better talker than Drew McIntyre for sure.
I'll say it's debatable, but wrestling and the look, I don't think it's even close.
Well, yeah, I mean Drew's been in the business for a long time.
Yeah,
so there's a drastic difference there. I would expect him to be better in most areas or more polished. That's to be expected, but I really like the team. But you're right. It's weird in that. Well, first of all, again, it's a scenario where they've had that match a gazillion times.
Yeah.
And in Baron. And hey, I think they work well together. They've got good chemistry. They have good matches. I enjoyed the match. But, it's just kind of weird. They complain about Alexa Bliss being in charge of the women's division. Well, she's an active member of the roster. She shouldn't be able to be in charge also. Hello? Okay, so your general manager-elect, as they're now calling him, Baron Corbin, is wrestling and in charge of the entire roster. So even in the context of the story, in the exact same show, they're not consistent with 2 different characters. It's just, there's no quality control of the TV show at all. It's nonsensical.
Sometimes I feel like they cater to stupid people, and that's not to insult stupid people, because I am an idiot by trade. Here's an example. At Starrcade on Saturday, we all know Starrcade. Big, popular, everyone loves Starrcade. Starrcade had a big, I think it was a 5-on-5 or a 6-on-6 women's tag match. This is another really bad part of Raw with no continuity, inconsistent writing. It was Sasha, Bayley, Natalya, Alicia Fox, and Dana Brooke against, I think, the Riot Squad and a couple others. On Monday, 2 days later, 48 hours later, you had Alicia Fox and Dana Brooke beating the piss out of Natalya and Sasha and Bayley. So did Vince forget that happened? Because Starrcade's on the network. It's just it's that sort of stuff that...
Yeah, it's frustrating because it's like I said before, with Survivor Series and the ongoing storylines they essentially ignored right in the middle of the stories to have Survivor Series, Raw versus SmackDown. It lives in its own separate vacuum, and that's how he views these stories. I mean, it's just separate entities almost.
Yeah.
And you're right, it's playing to the lowest common denominator, and
it
insults fans' intelligence.
It absolutely does. You know what Dean said to me a few days ago at work? Because, again, for those of you who don't know, Dean and I work together at a TV station. He said to me, because I'm like, what would you do that would just change the business just in one full swoop? And I'm like, you can only choose one thing. And he goes, I would simply book my WrestleMania matches and write backwards. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, you look towards what's the big match you want and book backwards. Yeah, I like the idea. I absolutely do. And a long time ago, that's what Vince McMahon did, a long time ago. Now, they don't. It's just completely different. But I like the idea. In fact, now that you brought up you and Dina working together, I have to admit that I kind of think of you and Dina are at work, and let's say you do something that you shouldn't do, because that's very likely, let's face it.
I don't do that. I'm perfect in every way. But go on.
Yeah, let's just say you had a momentary lapse of perfection where you kind of did something you shouldn't have done.
Okay.
Maybe you got angry at Dean, one of his hot takes on our podcast. And Dean, he calls you, because he's the big boss. He calls you into his office.
He's not my boss.
Okay, let's just pretend he is. Because I'm envisioning Dean as like your boss, and Dean calls you into his office, and he drops an elbow on you. Like, not physically, he doesn't assault you, but he calls you into the office and proceeds to lecture you for 5 minutes. And of course, unlike the podcast, you can't fast forward like everybody listening can. You actually have to listen to it for 5 minutes. Does that happen?
Well, no, not necessarily. He's not my boss, so that wouldn't happen. But that's pretty good. He has threatened me with several choke slams and spears because I mess with him a lot.
And I'm going to presume some leg drops because he's a big, big Hulk Hogan fan.
Well, no. Well, you know what? He is. He said he loves the leg drop, and he loves the people's elbow. The two most devastating finishers of all time. Might I add, Velveteen Dream used 3 leg drops in a row, and Tommaso Ciampa still kicked out. So I call cahoots on the leg drop. Big controversy, and I'm going to be the one that gets all of the information out there.
Well, but, I think the difference is because Hulk Hogan is heavier, so his leg drop is more powerful.
Well, no. Velveteen's leg got up higher, meaning higher velocity, more of an impact.
Or it could just be because it's totally fake and scripted, and they just wanted him to kick out of 3 leg drops. But, who knows? Who am I to say?
Subjective art form. That's what I say.
These are fake fucking fights. Let me remind you, brother. These fights are fake.
Hey, no one likes a racist, please. You're right. So we talk about. Here I am. I'm Chris Collinsworth. We talk about a guy. It seems like to me that the only storyline that's being booked in reverse, despite what happened with Becky's concussion, I know you hated it because you hate everything women's wrestling.
That is not true. I literally just praised some of Becky's work, Ronda Rousey, the match with Charlotte and Ronda being outstanding, the match of the night. Come on, you're kind of stretching that one a bit.
I stretch a lot of things out. That's fine.
Oh, geez, enough about your sex life. That is disgusting.
That's not what I was going for. Like, I stretch out words because I'm a linguist, and
you're a cunning linguist.
That is correct, Mr. Lawler.
This podcast is taking a very, very dark turn.
Yeah, but it's fun. I don't care. I really, really liked the opening segment on SmackDown. Becky and Charlotte have very good chemistry because they are best friends in real life. So that's going to be a home run every time. And this is where your very unpopular opinion comes from. Asuka, okay, I get. So as people, found out, it's a triple threat at TLC now. Asuka won a battle royal. It's going to be Asuka, Charlotte, and Becky for the strap at TLC in a TLC match. So, by the way, the Stephanie McMahon honorary first ever TLC match that she started because she knows everything. Right? I didn't want to forget that, or else she'll kill us. Not really. She'll sue us. That might be true. I didn't. I wanted it to be Charlotte and Becky. I did, but the more I think about it, I saw what those two did in a hellacious match, and I want to see the triple threat. I do, because Asuka can work in the she knows what to do in the ring. One of the few that can in that company as a female.
Yeah, she's got a devastating butt bump.
Damn straight. She knows she's popular. That whole arena was cheering her name when Naomi was trying to talk, and I thought she got kind of pissed. Which Naomi deserves, is she doesn't do most things right. No slight to her. She's just not as good as everyone thinks I'm sorry. I'm just not a fan of Naomi. Like, she sounds like a great person, and she has popularity and she has energy. I'm just not a fan of her work. I'm sorry. Not a Naomi guy. But I want to see it. I want to see what these three women can do. They're all great wrestlers, and they get it. And this is the hottest storyline in wrestling. I hate to say it, Brad, but the women have the best storyline in all of wrestling right now. I don't know what to tell you. Because of what they've done with Dean Ambrose, that took it over for me.
Well, I'm hoping Asuka will put the L in TLC. Take that L home.
Oh, she'll take. Well, I don't know. I bet Charlotte loses there.
To me, I just don't see why you wouldn't want to keep Charlotte and Becky strong. But the entire segment to me, I thought was just, again, inconsistent, because you have Charlotte and Becky, and they're on SmackDown, and when Becky can't wrestle because she got her face broken, and they put Humpty Dumpty back together again, which is good to see. She's on the show.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah. Well, she comes out, and all of a sudden, Charlotte and Becky hate each other again, and what they're saying is a complete opposite. It's complete opposition of what they just said to each other when they found out Becky couldn't compete and Charlotte had to take her place, where they're hugging each other. And it's like, you go get him, girl. This is for you. And then Charlotte says, this wasn't for you. It's illogical. There's no consistency in the characters of the story. So that definitely took me out of it. But it was nice to see Humpty Dumpty put back together again and on SmackDown again.
Did you notice, though, what Becky's new Twitter bio says to kind of, erase that inconsistent booking? Did you read her bio?
I don't keep up with Becky Lynch's bio. I can't say I do, no.
Well, you're on Twitter a lot. Go to Twitter at Becky Lynch WWE.
Look, I'm on Twitter to put myself over. That's what I'm on Twitter for. What the fuck are you talking about?
So, Dave Meltzer's Twitter bio isn't flattering. Oh, that's his spoof account. That is funny looking. So he follows Becky Lynch. So Becky's Twitter bio says, "I hug people I don't like when I'm concussed." See, she makes you laugh.
That's funny. She's got to be careful, though, not to keep going too strong so often. She's got to give it a little time and then strike. Don't go too hard too fast, because then it kind of wears out more quickly.
Why?
Kind of like fads do. They get hot for the moment, they last a few months, and then everybody forgets about it. And that's what we don't want to see with Becky Lynch. So she should just space it out a bit and slow it down a bit.
Like whenever Chris Jericho gave her shit, and then she said, "Well, you're the reason. Your latest album was why I'm concussed."
Yeah, I don't think he was too happy about that. But
well, to him, everything's a shoot, so whatever.
Yeah. So what was interesting to me on SmackDown was the Usos being used in a prominent role. I mean, I had just talked about the Usos, and I talked with a source in the company on our podcast, and how it was baffling that how they're the greatest tag team of our generation, but they're being relegated to the pre-show a lot, or they're not really being used, or not being used in any significant role at all. And this had been going on for quite a bit. And yes, okay, they were survivors of their kickoff show match, but they're multi-time champions. They're the greatest tag team of our generation. That is not a proper booking for a team of that caliber. So after my report, within a week of my report coming out, because it was obviously picked up by wrestling news sites, all of a sudden now the Usos are in the title picture on SmackDown Live. So I thought that was quite funny.
Are you saying that it's because of you?
I'm absolutely saying that. They follow my work. I'm absolutely saying that's why.
Okay, let's not stretch ourselves out here too much.
No, I'm not. That's a fact.
Who did the fact gimmick? Who was that? Was that
Um,
Oh, Kurt Hawkins.
yes, Kurt Hawkins. Yeah, he is still employed.
He is. He's in the mixed match challenge.
And he's got a pretty good podcast about wrestling figures too.
Oh, have you listened to it?
I have listened to it.
Is it really that good?
Well, I think it's good because it kind of allows more of a human dynamic. You get to hear him and Zack Ryder talk as people and as friends and as, I guess, fans of wrestling action figures. And not that you have to be a collector of action figures, because I'm not, to like the podcast, but it just kind of like it's two friends having a conversation.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It's not a bad podcast at all. But you listen to it and you think, man, they could definitely do more with these two guys. They don't use Zack Ryder. I mean, I don't know what the friggin' deal is there other than Triple H, obviously, historically hasn't been a big fan of Zack.
No. Why? I wonder why. Do you think he was threatened?
Okay, so I was told this a long time ago, but Triple H felt like that Zack couldn't handle himself, or he didn't look tough.
Yeah. He's a bro.
So he hasn't been high on him for a while now. You know, it's a political environment, and making the right friends matters. Let's face it.
Yeah. Triple H has been known to do that, huh?
Oh yeah, he has his favorites. That's been made clear to me as well. Triple H has his favorites, the ones that he likes and protects and looks out for. And then he has the ones he doesn't, and that's that.
Politics.
I know, politics, right? Let's keep it out of wrestling. Let's keep it out of sports. But what can you do?
Darn straight, partner. What?
Tyler Breeze was at an NXT show today as we record this.
I love it. Love Tyler Breeze. Great.
What do you love about Tyler Breeze?
You're just going to crap on everything I'm saying, so I'm not even going to say it.
I'm just curious. I just want to know what's great about him. That's all.
I watched him in NXT, and I thought he was very clever on the mic. He was quick-witted, and he could work a damn good match. That's why I like him.
So you think he's a good fake fighter?
Well, in that sense, yeah. I know you're going to hate this, but when NXT came to Pittsburgh the second time around, there was a fatal four-way with oh gosh, I have to remember it now. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe, and Tyler Breeze. It was an amazing match. I loved it. I didn't want it to end. It was about 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. It's fantastic.
25-minute match. Yeah, I would have wanted that to end 15 minutes ago.
I know, because I'm sorry that your favorite wrestlers don't have the stamina to wrestle a 2-minute match. So my freaking apologies.
Yeah.
There's a reason why the ratings are down so low.
Yeah, it's because of Becky Lynch.
That SmackDown, I know we kid and joke. I do want to look at the ratings for SmackDown though. SmackDown ratings. We know Raw is historically just in the trash can. Every single week, and that's not just being a jerk. It's the truth.
I'll tell you what. One of the underlying points here that I don't see being made enough is that I think Raw really misses Roman Reigns. I do.
Yeah, and John Cena. Don't forget him.
Sure. Well, I kind of have, because he's moved to China, got a weird tattoo. He grew his hair out, and he's got some weird Chinese punch where he, I don't know, he does like a fake back fist to the neck or something, and then you're supposedly magically unconscious. I don't know. I haven't quite. I've got to catch up on my karate movies. Maybe I'll figure it out. But yeah, I guess I forgot him too.
But no, I think they do miss Roman, and that's where good old Dino has an amazing point. They need to replace him. What if he doesn't come back? Like, knock on wood. Like, there's a chance he doesn't. And what the hell are they going to do?
Yeah, it's a terrible situation, but
yeah, it sucks.
They've invested a lot in him as a character, and they've sacrificed others to do that. So it's put them in this difficult position. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, Raw it doesn't have like a top guy per se right now. You've got Braun out as well, so it's in a very, very unique place, and really that creates opportunities for people as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. But yeah, Raw's it doesn't have a lot of direction right now.
TV by the numbers. I'm looking for SmackDown. SmackDown, 2.26 million.
Okay, and what was Monday Night Raw?
More.
Let's just say more or less than that. More.
Well, Raw was down historically. It's fifth lowest in the modern era because Baron Corbin started and ended the show.
Okay, but the rating draw was more than SmackDown. Fair to say.
2.37.
Okay, so more than SmackDown.
Not the point.
Okay, it's kind of the point to me, right?
No, because SmackDown's improving and Raw's failing.
Okay, but they're drawing more ratings. More people are watching Raw than SmackDown.
Monday has always been a more popular night to watch television, hence why Raw started on a Monday in 1993.
Monday has Monday Night Football. SmackDown doesn't.
Well, there's also more sports on Tuesday nights because they don't want to compete with Monday Night Football. That is a fact. Yes, I win. I win again. You're welcome.
I just don't agree. But that's okay. I mean, you're used to being wrong. We're totally cool with it. And,
yeah, I'm never wrong, which is why I'm sure you said by now that Baron would be a champ, and he's the farthest thing from that.
Hey, he's positioned very strongly. You have to say, you can talk about how his character is booked is a wimpy heel. He is. That's true. That's a fact. But here's a guy who's taking on a role, and he is probably getting more camera time, more TV time on this show, this 3-hour show, than anybody else, period, on the entire roster.
I think Becky's
not huge. I don't know what is.
I think Becky's up there.
Okay, forget Becky. She's not on a 3-hour show. She's not getting as much TV time as Baron Corbin. That's a fact.
He was only in 3 segments. He was in
he was in the opener, right?
Yeah.
He was in the main event.
Yeah.
And he was in a segment in between. I mean, are you kidding me? Who else was like that? Name one other person on either roster that had that kind of exposure on TV this week. Just
I didn't watch SmackDown, so I can't answer that.
I'll wait. Google it. Just name one.
That had more airtime.
But there isn't one. That's what your Google's going to find.
Drew McIntyre.
Baron Corbin is consistently in a key role on that show, and that's the point I'm trying to get across.
But the ratings are crap. So maybe they should change something.
Okay, well, the ratings are crap when AJ Styles was champion. The ratings are crap when everybody's champion. It's because the show sucks.
Yeah, it does.
You know?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, they're having 5'2" guys come out and piss their pants. You know, it's like, and Vince is like belly laughing in the back, like this is the greatest thing ever. You know, what can you say? It was one of the worst weeks for WWE TV as far as Raw and SmackDown Live.
Yeah, in a while.
Maybe ever. One of the worst for sure. I would have to say one of the worst, if not the worst. It was terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. But either way. So where can the kids find you on social media?
Well, I was going to give some WWE news.
Oh.
I think they might be interested in that. Maybe the people are interested in it.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
I'm tired.
I know you're tired, but, well, maybe I should just charge $10.99 a month.
No, yeah. Wait, so if the other competitor has it's $10.99 a month, while the network's $9.99 a month.
Maybe I should go $9.98.
Yeah. Or do if he's 10.99, just be 11.50. Who cares? Same old crap. Anyway. All right, no, yeah, I forgot about the news part. I am
No, I
sleepy.
feel I need some sort of a massive reveal for this. Like, I do these news segments, and I feel like there needs to be more of a climax of build up.
No one's climaxing
Well,
during the week. You let me educate you there. But if you really want something, you send me a soundbite or a clip or something. I'll edit it into the show. But you got to do the dirty work. I ain't doing that.
I think I'm going to do that. I love that.
Fine. Send it over. You know the email. Brad@thebradleyshepherd@AOL.hotmail.net. Just send it over. That's my personal email.
That makes no sense.
Nor should it.
Okay. Well, what should I guess we'll just have to forego. I will send it to you. But with that being said,
send me what?
The eargasm, the audio pleasure.
No, for next week, not for this week.
No, I know for next week.
For next week.
I'm going to take my time. I may even come up with my own sound.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I hope it's not the sound that you make at home. This dear Christ.
I'm just not even going to talk about that. All right.
Good.
WWE news.
Oh, boy.
So, by now, probably you have heard the reports about Lars Sullivan, NXT superstar who will be making his main roster debut soon. And there is reports that he made alleged posts on a bodybuilding forum that were considered by some to be offensive, etc.
Si, senor.
So I asked about that, and nobody said anything internally about Lars having heat for alleged posts he made years ago on a bodybuilding forum. So I just thought that was interesting as well. And I think what we've seen on TV also is they're continuing with the vignettes for Lars in his main roster debut.
Which is fine. Cool. Sounds good to me. Now, I do have to give credit where credit is due. Our buddies over at Ringside News are responsible for that report. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's right. And we, by we, I mean Brad, because I leave myself out of it. I've been in the news industry, and I don't like to be it when I'm at home. Let the record show we are not disputing Ringside News' report. We're just adding on to it, like an extension.
Exactly.
So I like to give credit where it's due, and credit those who report stuff.
Yeah, Ringside News is. I think they're great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're good. They're good friends of ours too. But yeah, definitely interesting. I thought there'd be heat there, just because of all of the crap that went down with the athletes in the last year, with former comments.
Right.
So it's interesting.
I thought it was interesting too. It's a sign of the times that these kind of things come up and are brought to the forefront. But WWE, they also have not responded to any requests for comment, to my knowledge. So they're, I think they're just moving forward with the plans for Lars. So
yeah,
I thought that was very interesting.
So what else you got?
Minneapolis being the host of WrestleMania 36 would be a genuine surprise to high-level sources in WWE. It is unlikely at this point, and I bring that up again because there has been a false narrative on the internet amongst wrestling fans that Minnesota, for months now, has been the shoe-in host for WrestleMania 36.
Yes.
So I can report after a conversation this week, recent conversations continue to favor Florida. The city in Florida is unknown, but as the host of WrestleMania 36. As more information becomes available, I'll keep everyone updated. Stay tuned to my Twitter feed, obviously, at the Brad Shepherd for more information as well. But as of right now, that is still being worked out. Recent conversations around Florida. Minnesota has not been brought up in a while.
And may I just say that I'm gonna bet the house on Tampa.
I think Tampa would be a great host city for WrestleMania 30.
It absolutely would. I'll be in Tampa in July. I'll tell you then.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, Tampa would be good, and it has never been in Tampa Bay. Am I right? I don't think it has.
Yeah, I mean, Vince likes Florida, and that's what. In even talking to a source in the company about it, they even find it a little baffling because they've gone there so much that it's a little baffling. But Vince loves Florida, and that's why they keep going back to the Florida well so much. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Once the decision is final, I'll certainly let everyone know. I will say this: you're not going to find a more accurate source for this type of information in WWE more than me. That's just the fact.
So right now I'm looking up the two places in Tampa Bay that WrestleMania will be held at. So the Amalie Arena is where the Tampa Bay Lightning play. That holds 20.5 thousand. Now, as we know, Vince McMahon hates indoor arenas. I'm only kidding. He would probably want to hold WrestleMania in Florida outside where it's nice in a big stadium. Raymond James Stadium, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play currently, holds 65,890. Now, due to the fudging that happens every year and the lying that occurs, I'm sure they can push it to 185,000, which would be a WrestleMania record. I kid, I joke, I kid. No, if it be in Tampa, it'd be at Raymond James Stadium. No questions asked.
Yeah, there's several locations in Florida, if they decided Florida, where they could go to, and it would be totally fine. So
when was the last time it was in Miami? Wasn't it when The Rock wrestled?
The Rock and John Cena the first time. Was that WrestleMania 28?
Yes, that is correct. No, it was 28 because Punk fought Jericho.
Yes. Yeah, I was there for that in person.
Were you really?
Yeah. Yeah. That was the end of an era, allegedly.
End of the third end of an era.
Yeah.
The first of many.
Yeah, it was actually in Miami Gardens, but they kind of branded it Miami. But it was really nice. I thought they did a nice job with it, and it was a pretty good show overall. Now,
the Hard Rock Stadium, I'm looking up a couple things here. The Hard Rock Stadium, that's a really cool name. Its capacity is 65,000 as well, 65 and change.
Yeah,
so that could work.
Yep.
So the Dolphins play, Miami Hurricanes play there. Why not?
Yeah.
Nothing like MetLife Stadium, though, dude. Holds a cream. What was that? Where was I going with that? Anyway, it holds a whopping 80. What is it? 80-something thousand. 80-something thousand. They're at 82.5. Bam.
Yeah.
So I don't blame Vince for wanting it to be at MetLife Stadium. Not at all.
Yeah, Vince loves MetLife. Obviously, they're going to be there for WrestleMania 35. He's got his favorites. He loves New Orleans. He's just got these particular places that personally he likes, and that's why he continues to go there. So, and finally, during a recent edition of the Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer addressed how WWE is definitely taking notice of AEW All Elite Wrestling, and that it is on Vince McMahon's radar. He stated the following, and credit the transcript to ringsidenews.com, our friends. If you look at that WWE roster, there's a lot of guys WWE's going to really try to double down and try and make sure they extend people's contracts. I expect a lot of change from the WWE from 3 days ago. It's on Vince McMahon's radar. Don't kid yourself. Once the MSG show happened and WWE blocked it and ROH got it and it got unblocked, everything's been on his radar. That's why ACH and these guys that they've known about for 10 years, all of a sudden they're signed now that weren't being signed before. Okay. So the idea here is Dave is speculating that because of Cody and the Young Bucks, who are alleged to be behind All Elite Wrestling, a developing promotion, that Vince McMahon is going to lock down talent. He's going to really double down and lock down talent and extend their contracts so that they can't be signed by All Elite Wrestling. This promotion that doesn't exist yet. Okay. That's it's got zero profit, that hasn't run a single show, that doesn't exist. So I talked to a source in the company about this, and it was pretty clear that hardly anybody cares about All Elite Wrestling. In fact, they went on to question the credibility of Dave's source and elaborated that the very idea that WWE would give Cody's potential company that much credit to the level that they try and lock their talent up is nuts. They questioned who Dave was talking to and said it reminds them of All In, where in all reality, people at WWE headquarters would never even know it had happened.
Okay. Well, may I play devil's advocate slightly?
Well, sure, you can play devil's advocate, but that's an actual fact from a source in the company.
Oh, no, I know.
That's not speculation.
Oh, I know that. No, I'm not disputing that at all. I do want to say, though, that we're forgetting that Cody Rhodes, he's the son of one of the best wrestling bookers that ever lived. So it's in his blood. If he wanted to do something very well, he knows how to do it.
I wouldn't say that at all.
You don't think Dusty Rhodes was that good of a wrestling promoter? Are you crazy?
He was. I think he was. You weren't even watching wrestling. How do you mean? Am I crazy? You weren't even watching wrestling.
Well, clearly,
Dusty Rhodes was booking. He actually had the book taken away from him because he kept booking himself on top when he was past his prime.
He didn't want to let the art go. Well, he's a legend for a reason. Of course he knew.
No, he of course did some great booking. But that doesn't mean that Cody... Look, that doesn't mean his son is going to be a great booker. That's absurd to even think.
Well, it's like, Charlotte turned out to be one of the better women's wrestlers of our generation. Well, mine, I should say. It got from her dad. It's in the genes.
I don't know what her clothes have to do with this.
Take me seriously.
I am taking you seriously. He's a wrestler, but that doesn't mean he's a booker. It doesn't mean he can run a promotion. There's a big difference, too, between running one single event, such as an All-In, versus an entire promotion. And I'm not saying he can't run a successful indie promotion. He knows how to milk the marks. It's obvious. Him and the Young Bucks have mastered that on the indie scene. Now, you look at All-In, I think it's a good example of that. But I'm just saying that because Dusty is a good booker doesn't make Cody a good booker. We need some evidence of that. So, but to think that this make-believe promotion is going to make a practical billionaire nervous is absurd. It is beyond ridiculous to even think that. Forget that I have a source in the company that's reliable telling me that. Just think about it yourself. Common sense. It's just absurd to even think that. And it leads me to believe, it's propaganda, or is it just someone manipulating him under false pretenses to get that out there? It's just kind of it's a really bizarre thing.
I was told reliably that some of the wrestlers that are active in the company and held very prominently in their spot, listen to Dave and read Dave's stuff just for the comedy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it doesn't surprise me at all. But all right, I'm getting tired, and
I'm also getting tired of being right.
Yeah, well, if you're tired of being right, then maybe I should be dead. Where can we find you on Twitter?
At the Brad Shepard, SHEPARD. Follow me. Watch all of my work. Chat me up. Let's talk wrestling and sports. And hopefully I'll be making my return to the sports world soon. Stay tuned. But for now, continue to listen to our podcast. Rate us 5 stars. Do subscribe. And tell us how much you don't like Dean on the show.
Well, there's only going to be one person that's going to do that. You can follow me at John Fisher TV on Twitter, and you can also, if you want some Facebook interaction, I'm going to start posting our podcasts once again. I stopped doing it for a while, but I'm going to pick it back up. Wrestling News Hub. My buddies over there run a really great wrestling page. Very active, very fun. Join the party. We'll be posting our stuff there as well. Any last words?
Oh boy, yeah, that's a lot of pressure you're putting on me.
Well, good. You know, David Bowie knew how to work under pressure. You clearly don't. You suck. We will see you all next week. Normally scheduled programming, Wednesday morning. See you then.